Hey guys, what's going on? David Avalon here with Robert Drysdale for another edition of Breaking the Guard. Robert, what's going on?
Same old man, grinding away. Happy to be here, talking jiu-jitsu and things related. Sometimes a little off topic, but normally Dave brings us back to jiu-jitsu. But
You've been traveling quite a bit. I know you
yes.
for tournaments and competitions. So why don't you fill us in?
Yeah, man. We just had an event in where Fellipe fought Patrick Gaudio, managed to submit him with a footlock,
I
and
saw that was kind of it was a pretty crazy exchange at the end because it looked like
yes,
he was Claudio was almost getting him in the armbar, and then he
yes,
switched it over, and then I saw him get the footlock. I'm like, Robert's been saying this.
yeah.
He looked pretty nasty with the belly down.
He's
Yeah.
vicious with that footlock, man. It's so quick too, and it's there's a picture like Felipe has it somewhere where you can see the footlock from the other side, and you can see that Patrick's foot turns into like a V shape, like he bends it. It's not quite a 90-degree angle, but it's like a 45 to 90-degree angle sort of thing, and it just looks nasty. Like his foot just goes in this weird angle. And anyone who's felt it knows that it's crazy part is like how explosive he is about that foot lock. When he locks it, like he'll just jump for it, and it's a lot of pressure, a lot, like very fast.
And you're saying that he does it like a high foot lock where he's more folding the middle of the foot
Yes.
rather than the ankle
Yeah,
itself.
he doesn't attack the Achilles, he attacks the end of the foot. So when you feel pain, you're feeling pain on top of the foot, and almost like your toes are getting smashed, And I like to attack it like that as well. But Felipe has this explosiveness that just most people don't have. So when he goes for it, you got to preemptively tap in order not to get hurt.
Yeah, because I can imagine that's probably a lot worse as far as like damage wise. You're probably just tearing all tendons in the
Well, it's all these small little bones, right?
Yeah.
The first time I saw this footlock, because normally when you say think straight footlock, you think,
Achilles.
excuse me,
Yeah.
you think the Achilles, right? Like Dean Lister attacks the calf.
Yeah.
He's shown it to me, and it's like unbearable. Like it's crazy. It's a crazy amount of pain. But I can't do it to people. Like Dean Lister, I'm going to show you. Like he attacks like the insertion of the Achilles with your calf.
Yeah, I'm able to get that one, and that one works pretty well. But I do it on the cross grip.
Yes, on the cross grip.
Yeah. If you try to do the same side, like it doesn't bite the right.
But Dean is Dean, right? Like he's just like a weirdo, and he's just But he does it really well. Most people attack the Achilles. I've been attacking, this is the way I teach it. Cavaca does it like this too, and Felipe does it. We attack like the end of the foot, right? So you're like pinching the toes underneath your armpit. The first time I saw that was Budo Challenge 2005. Shinya Aoki fought Cameron Earl.
Okay, yeah.
And Cameron Earl had just defeated Marcelo Garcia in that tournament, right? That's a huge win.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking, well, this guy who just beat Garcia is going to beat this Japanese guy, right? And Shinya Aoki footlock Cameron. And it looked like a normal footlock, but afterwards I bought like Cameron, like he seemed to be complaining of pain on top of the foot. And I'm thinking, why is he the top of the foot hurting? Why is it not the Achilles? And I never understood why. Like something, maybe he had an injury already. That's what's going through my head. Years later, like after I started attacking the foot that way, that's when I understood it's a much better footlock. Because some people, I always give this example. Imagine trying to footlock. You ever see like a big Samoan with like big ankles? Try to straight footlock and see what happens.
Yeah.
And good luck. Right, because the Achilles is so big, the ankle's so big, it's very difficult to get that sort of bite on the Achilles. But on the end of the foot, you got all these little tiny little bones, and you can't really strengthen them. Like they're pretty, generally speaking, pretty weak. So when you apply pressure on them, it's far more sensitive than the Achilles is.
Yeah, it's a different thing. Like most people don't do like toe raises. Like it's funny. I was just doing them today. I'm doing like a superset where I'm doing calf raises, and then I do toe raises where you get like a kettlebell, put your toes, and you lift up. And it gets like the front of your shin, like where normally people complain about shin splints. So it's like a good opposing group, but like people, I've never seen anybody. I'm the only guy I've seen that does it in the gym. You know what I mean? So like strengthening that is very minor, and even then, like you're doing like 30 or 40 pounds, and that's probably about your upper limit. So you get someone like Felipe cranking on you.
No, 100%.
I'm sure it's a lot more pressure than that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's one of those areas of the body. It's like it's how do you strengthen that? Like I feel like other parts, like joints in general, are hard to strengthen. But when you're talking about the foot, like if you see an X-ray of a foot, it's like a bunch of small little bones.
Yeah,
it's not like your shin or your forearm. Like it's one big bone. It's I don't know, even know like tens, maybe hundreds of little tiny little bones. So when you're applying pressure on those guys, you're going to feel it a lot faster. I can't imagine what the damage would be if someone's foot were broken, because it probably wouldn't damage just one bone. It would probably be, I don't even know what kind of damage it would be, but it wouldn't be pretty.
Yeah, it's never good to break any toes or anything like that. Yeah, so pretty vicious. And especially I saw in that finish, the belly down just makes it so much worse. Because you can really arch into it.
Well, you put your body, gravity goes on your side.
Yeah.
The thing about the belly down too, though, there's one downside of going belly down on a straight foot lock is that you have to adjust. If you have to adjust a foot lock, you can't.
Yeah.
Once you commit to going belly down, it's all gravity and power from there onwards. There's no adjustment unless it's fully adjusted, right? And then you're fine. Normally they tap even before you belly down. But if you're going belly down, you're gonna have a hard time adjusting the foot lock if you have to, right?
Yeah.
So I normally recommend people adjust it as much as you can for as long as you can before you go for the kill.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because once you go belly down, it's really hard to make any adjustments. It's kind of, it is what it is at that point. And then the bailout's also kind of ugly on your end too. So that was a very interesting matchup. But what else?
We had the best part of the event was the sumo wrestling. That was amazing, man. That was so much fun.
Yeah, I saw that they had Anthony Johnson, the little the sumo.
Anthony Johnson is the other guy who fights in the UFC. I forgot his name now. Anyway, but like they brought these two sumo wrestlers from Japan. One of them was, humongous. He was 400 pounds plus. The other one was like 190, maybe 185.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was like you're looking at him going, I can take him, And it because in my head, sumo was all about being fat, and that was it, right? Just fat people pushing each other around. Like it was watching them. It was the first time I actually watched it, right? Paying attention. It's very technical. There's a lot more technique to it than people give it credit for. And Anthony Johnson and the other guy, I forgot his name, like they were getting schooled, man. Even the little guy was throwing them around. I couldn't believe it.
I saw Anthony Johnson just get picked up like a child and just thrown out.
Like they were tossing him all over the place, man.
Yeah. There is definitely a lot more technique to it. Even their approach, because you can see sometimes people rush, sometimes they don't, because the rushes could also be dangerous because then they get tripped if the guy sidesteps, But if you stay still and you get rushed, then you're getting run over. So it is definitely interesting, And
there's a dynamic to it, and it became very interesting because they're short. Yeah. They go on for like 15 seconds. They're not long.
Which makes it good for a grappling spectator, right? Because the layman can watch it and not be, bored or not understand. It's pretty simple to understand. Push someone out of the circle. That's about it. And I think it's interesting. I mean, I think just about every school has a sumo game that they do, and
kids, but always with kids. Yeah.
But we do it with adults too. I mean, it's fun, and it's a good workout.
It's a simple form of wrestling. It's very basic. You just got to get them, take them down. You can't put your hands or knees on the ground. Yeah. Right. You can't get taken out of the circle, which is pretty straightforward as it gets. It is entertaining though. I was surprised at how fun I had watching it. How much fun I had. A lot of people don't know, this is going to come as a surprise, but sumo wrestling was the original precursor to judo. A lot of, there's this, I always thought, I assumed because you hear this myth so much, that judo and then hence BJJ come from the samurais. The samurais honed all these arts throughout the ages, and then later that became judo and later became BJJ. I actually thought this for the longest time. It turns out that because we're researching this for the documentary, that the samurais had nothing to do with judo. It's like the idea, like when you put it in these terms, it makes a lot of sense. So the idea that someone's going to go to war with arm bars and kimuras is ludicrous. Like it's kind of like sending soldiers to Iraq and Afghanistan with like self-defense techniques. Like you wouldn't even you might learn a thing or two, but these guys weren't really that concerned with learning what we call jiu-jitsu today. Most of the techniques were coming from Western wrestling, because Western wrestling in judo, right, had a huge impact in judo. A lot of people don't realize that, but Jigoro Kano was heavily influenced by Western philosophy, thought, and Western wrestling. So if you want to trace our roots, they actually go to the West. They don't actually start in the East. And then sumo wrestling, which is something indigenous to Japan, but sumo wrestling, and if you look at a lot of techniques in sumo, they do resemble Kodokan techniques. A lot of a lot of the throws are very similar. Yeah. Right. So there's that link there, and that's something we're still exploring more because I want to insert that in somewhere in the documentary. We want to talk about this, but it's it's been difficult because you got so many stories, so different angles you can pursue, because you're talking about really something that should be like a 20, 30 part series, condensed in an hour and a half, right? So it's like Mission Impossible. But yeah, like the role of sumo and judo, and then hence BJJ those are our roots. You know, people are watching the event, and I don't think they realize that this is not just entertainment. These are our roots. Like, we started here. Yeah.
That's very interesting. I did not know that either.
Yeah.
I know that wrestling had some part of it. I've read that catch wrestling actually had a good influence as well. Yeah. And going both ways from my understanding. But a lot of like the hammerlock and kimura stuff where I think was catch wrestling first, or I forget which way it went.
Well, in Brazil, at least, catch wrestling had a huge influence in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It wasn't just judo. Until this day in Brazil, armbar is referred to as armlock.
Oh.
Knee bar is leg lock.
I thought that was just people butchering it.
No. The leg locky and army locky is that's what you would call a knee bar and an arm bar. That's from catch. That's not Japanese. That's from catch wrestling.
Interesting.
And
I thought they first chave de braço,
the one no one refers to it like that's. That'll be the correct. Chave de braço would be the correct way to refer to it. Like that'll be like arm bar. But no one call it army locky. That's what everyone says. The kimura, some schools call it kimura. Many schools call it americana.
Okay.
Americana. So you probably heard that before. Brazilians refer to it as Americana, right? They didn't get it from the U.S. Contemporarily, they got it from catch wrestlers traveling through Brazil in the circus days at a time where BJJ didn't exist, right? Another one, Helio Gracie, actually cross-trained with catch wrestlers. A lot of people don't know that. Luta Livre guys. Yeah. But he actually used them as training partners, so there's some influence there too. George Gracie, one of the founders of MMA, he was very influenced by catch wrestling too. He was very active in no-gi. He had a good rapport with that crew, like the no-gi scene in Brazil. That's what's so interesting about these discussions about contemporary jiu-jitsu, and it's not so different. Very little has changed. Like the appetite the crowd has to being entertained all the time, like something you got to give them something new. That's where the sumo comes in. That's where the quintet comes in. That's where we were talking about the tag team, right? Like the crowd, they want something new all the time. They get bored very quickly. Yeah. It was the same thing then, right? The interesting part is back in the day, they drifted to fake matches because, real matches were not as interesting as the fake ones. So I wonder if BJJ, because we're already doing tag team, if at some point it's going to drift into fake matches, coordinated matches, more pro wrestling oriented. I don't know, because the crowd is so eager to be entertained. I don't think they would care. We had a fake stage match in grappling match in Japan recently on the contest Sakuraba and was it Takanori Gomi?
I think you're right.
Yeah, it was a fake grappling match, right? And the Japanese know it's fake, but they don't care.
Yeah, it's like you're seeing a ballet or something, right?
Yes, that's what they're looking at.
It's a performance piece. Yeah.
Oh, Hickson Gracie and Hoyler Gracie and Pride.
Yeah.
They had a stage match. Like the Japanese are completely okay with that. So my question is, at some point, will jiu-jitsu and the grappling world drift towards that? And I hope that doesn't happen.
The way I would see it is just an extended form of a kata, right? I mean, yes. Like I remember, I told you I did the first grappling competition I ever did, but in there was a lot of traditional martial arts, and they were doing their katas, and we were watching people do katas and stuff, but it would be the grappling kata, pretty much, right? We're just seeing, if it was done right, I would get, okay, this makes sense. Like we'll show like a solid sequence of exchange of techniques and how ultimately you would want it to finish out. But I don't know about adding the pro wrestling antics into it.
See, I don't know. Like, where's the line? Because people know that pro wrestling. Yeah. People know that pro wrestling is fake, but they don't seem to mind. They're still having fun. They work 9 to 5, and when it comes time to get home, they want to drink a beer and be entertained. And I'm more and more accepting of that. Because like being like 10 years ago, like, oh, I hate pro wrestling. I wish it didn't exist. Is there harm to it? It's no real harm, I guess. I still don't like something that I love, being associated with fake matches, right? But, I think there's a tendency that the audience has to be, they want to be entertained at any cost. I think of the gladiator times. Yeah, just think even further back. You don't think the Romans had to get creative? You think just gladiators? At some point they had like gladiators versus animals versus animals. Yeah. They had fake like naval battles.
That was the craziest thing to me.
Yes.
When I was in there, they would actually flood the Coliseum and put boats in there. Like, so, like, to your point, like, are you not entertained?
Yes. Where does it end? Where does the appetite to, towards entertainment end? Is there a limit to that?
Like, you imagine that the Romans had what we have now, the type of crazy stuff they would have been putting together, like
it goes with
it
human
would
nature.
have been guns versus knives, or like they would have used like the weird like electronic stuff and holograms and
100%.
do all sorts of weird stuff, So
even the UFC, the bad motherfucker belt. What is that if not a way of just like reaching out to the public and going, we're breaking the rules here to give you a belt that doesn't exist just for your entertainment, because these guys are really good at talking smack to one another, and it's something that goes way back.
I think you did touch on a good point though, where mixing up the different grappling styles in one contest. I know Fight to Win's been doing that, and I guess Substars did it as well. It's not a bad idea, right? Especially when you can mix them up with a higher pace or quicker action. Because if you watch like 10 grappling matches, like some of these shows, I understand that they have to get as many different schools as possible. So you'll do like 20 matches. And like, especially with like amateur MMA shows, it's like, Jesus Christ, it's like 18 fights in the card.
Yeah,
like, oh my God.
I know.
And then my guy's the main event, like, God damn it. I'm here all night. But like if they mix it up more, like you said, like, they do like the kickboxing and MMA, but now those are still both kind of slower paced matches. But if you do something like sumo or I don't know, like it would change it up a bit. And like you said, you won't get that fatigue. When you see the same thing over and over and over again, you're gonna get tired.
Yeah.
It's just like when you're reffing, and we talked about it last time, like you just start losing your guard.
There's no way out of it. And the thing, the public is kind of, tired of, the same stuff over and over. They're worn on IBJJF rules. I think they're kind of worn on submission only too, if you ask me. That's why these new things are coming about. Interesting, we had Lovato and Cyborg, which are like legends of the sport. And we also had Gordon Ryan versus Tex Johnson, which was a great fight. And we had some other great fights, right? I think Maggie fought Luisa Montero, and there's some really good fights on the card. What stood out to me, I can't speak for everyone else, it was a sumo. Like, that's the one I remember. Of course, I'm super happy for Fellipe, but the one that stood out, the one that jumped at me, was the sumo. Right? That to me is, it was so different, right? So, yes, I agree. I think that, but when they bring other styles, like the cross matches with wrestling, there's a lot of that going on. It just does bring new audience to the sport as well, because there might have been someone who's a sumo fan watching jiu-jitsu and vice versa now. I would watch sumo now. I would have never considered it before. Next time I go to Japan, I was actually in front of the arena where they have the official like sumo grand tournament. I don't know what you call it, but I was there. I took a picture there and everything. Next time, if I ever go back to Japan, I actually want to go watch.
Yeah, that'd be
assuming tickets aren't a fortune, which they may be.
Probably a small.
Yeah. Cut a right arm off. Like sell your kidney. Watch sumo match.
But with the different style of matchups, the other one that we had mentioned earlier was the tag team grappling.
Yes.
Right? So I think that was a submission underground by Chael Sonnen, and props to Chael for throwing this event out. You know what I mean? And he's been putting him up pretty consistently. He's giving another venue for grapplers to compete in. To me, it's crazy because now, like, you could say I want to become a professional grappler, and it's an actual career path at this point. You can make a decent living doing that. But like, when me and you started, there was
that was an investment.
It was a very
an investment
idea.
With like exactly. There's no like. It's not like, oh, there's a 1% chance of be rich. There was zero chance. You were doing it because you were absolutely in love with what you were doing.
Yeah.
The only prospect was winning ADCC.
Yeah.
Which like now doesn't even sound that credible. Like at the time, like $10,000, and I think it was like $40 for the open and super fight, and the weight class was 10. But at the time, that sounded like, oh, I'm rich. Yeah. But now compared to other professional events, it's like standard.
Yeah, like the tag team, the main event was Vinny Magalhaes and Kyle Boehm versus Nick Rodriguez and Craig Jones. And it was a $25,000 prize for one match.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hey, that's pretty damn good.
That's really good.
For one grappling match, mind you. So that's even better.
Yeah, it's really good.
So that's not bad. But apparently the rest of the card was really good from what I heard, but the main event just was a stinker. And I guess both guys in the regulation, it was Vinny with Nick. They never tagged out, and Nick never passed the guard. Vinny never really advanced outside of playing from his guard. Went into overtime, and in overtime, Kyle Boehm was able to outlast or escape quicker than Nick Rodriguez.
Which to me is a horrible criteria. I hate that criteria.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it, but people were giving them flack like, oh, they should have done more action. And what I think Vinny had said, which made sense, was he's in there to win.
Yeah,
right?
I was gonna say.
And the strategy, beforehand is like, look, if they're gonna leave this guy in there the whole time, we'll ride him out and then get someone fresh in the overtime.
You can't hate the player. You got to hate the game. Once you create the rules, and then people are like, on the edge of what those rules permit, you can't get mad at them. Like that's their livelihood. Like he's got kids, man. He's got bills to pay.
Yeah.
I as a fan, I don't like it, but as a practitioner, I understand it.
100% makes sense. I would have done the same move.
I would have done the same thing.
I've done the same thing. When I went to, it was like 2007. It was a match before yours. When I went to go against Zanje, I'm like, okay. Before the match even started, I told myself, I'm going to beat him in double overtime. Because I knew I wasn't going to pass his guard. I mean, I think his guard's never been passed forever. And at the time, he was more technical than me and all that. I'm like, I'm going to have to outgrind him and out-hustle him. And
he had just won IBJJF open weight class. He was the number one guy in the world when you beat him.
Yeah, so I have to drag him into the deep waters. And he's bigger than me. I know he's going to get tired faster, and I'll beat him that way. Is it entertaining for the fans? Absolutely not. But I mean, that's the only way I'm going to beat this guy at this point. You know what I mean? Like at that point, with my skill set, that was the only way I was going to win. So lame, I guess, but like that's how the match was going to be.
So you just touched on an interesting topic. This is like, and I want to think about this because people, and I think we might have touched on it, but like it's such an interesting point because people go, oh, if personally, I don't like advantages, or some of them. I think in some situations they're warranted, others not, right?
Sure.
So, but rules in general that you don't like, you're still going to use them in your favor when you compete. And then you go, so am I a hypocrite for saying I don't like advantages, but again, using an advantage to win? I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so. I don't like. If I had the powers to change the rules, would I? Yes. Because I don't, I have to accept the rules as they are. I will use them to my favor.
100%.
And there's a part of me that goes, for example, I've done this before, right? I think that IBJJF should be harsher on stalling, even though they're pretty harsh these days. They're way better than they used to be, almost to the point where like, okay, it's enough, right? But let's say let's go back in time 5 years. Let's say they were not that harsh. I don't like that. I wish they changed that. You know how many times I've won by stalling? I'm not proud of it, but I've done it. Like I'm tired. I'm up by one advantage. I'm like, you know what, man? I'm not going to risk anything. And I think everyone would do that. The person who says like, oh, no, I'm hardcore. I go for the submission nonstop. Now, you might be so much better than the person you're going against where you can actually do that. But if everything were on the line and you knew you were winning and all you had to do was like hold back to win a world title, I think 100% of competitors would do that. And secure the title.
And you would be foolish if you didn't.
Yes. Right? And I think you're a bad competitor. As a coach, I'd rip you a new one if you didn't.
Yeah. There's a time to take risks, and then there's time to not. And, when, like you said, when it's like 10 seconds left or 30 seconds left and you're winning by a big lead, you don't need to do anything goofy. As a coach, I say, okay, stay in control. Be smart. Those are code words for stall.
I say conservative. Just be conservative. That's what I tell people.
Like, be smart. Be smart. Like that means stall.
It is code word. Yeah, because no one wants to say stall.
You can't go. You go stall. Rap would be like, oh, okay, call it.
No, but you're right. And it's as if anyone who's the head of an organization, any fight promoter, anyone who is in charge of making up rules, you need to, be aware of these glitches that competitors are exploiting, because that's what they should do. The competitors, that's their business, is to exploit the rules to their favor as best they can.
Yeah.
Right? But I think that explains why IBJJF changes their rules every year. Every year they have a new rule set, and it's like they're trying to catch up with the competitors because jiu-jitsu has become such an intricate game. It's gotten so highly sophisticated. it's hard to keep up, man. The competitors are very smart. Like even Mike Musumeci, we had him here, man. Like you can see he's a very smart competitor.
For sure.
You know, he straight out says, yeah, I go for the full lock not because I want the full lock. I just want the advantage. So the guy comes up into my guard. I'm like, brilliant. That's one going like great strategy. And if you watch him, he does that every single one of his fights. It's his method of winning is pretending he's attacking a submission, right? I mean, I think he caught someone a while ago. I was just watching him, but at the Europeans. But he normally doesn't finish people with that full lock. It's more to get the person to come up and defend. All right, so, fans got to be more understanding. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, because ultimately, I do agree with you that the responsibility of making the match entertaining falls on the rules.
Yes, not the athlete.
Yeah. Competitors are trying to win, right? And if you step back, they're fighting if they're a professional because they're trying to make money to support a family, to support a living, right? So winning comes at all costs to like a diehard competitor. So you can't blame them for doing what needs to be done to win. And in this case, like with Vinny and Kyle, it's a smart move, right? Like to me, it's puzzling why the other team between Nick and Craig never tagged each other out.
Yeah, I was just thinking
and
that.
then Nick did in the overtime. Nick stayed in, so Craig never grappled. So it was actually Nick versus Vinny and Kyle, which is really weird because Craig is such a great jiu-jitsu competitor and very dangerous.
So could it be because Craig is injured and he just didn't want to? I don't know, because I'm thinking, because I know for a fact that he got reached out a while ago by a promoter to fight one of our guys, and he didn't want to. Normally he would have accepted it.
Yeah.
Maybe he's injured, and that was the agreement. That would make sense to me. And they were just like, they didn't want to, like, I don't want to not show up. And Nick said, leave it to me. I'll do it. And, I don't know, right? But it makes no sense that they would have not have brought him in if he was fresh.
Yeah, I have no idea why. But he did say on Instagram that he wanted to return his show money to Chael Sonnen, but Chael Sonnen refused. So that's kind of cool.
On both of them.
On both of them. For sure, I think more on Chael's part because promoters, they usually take it.
Oh no, man! Like it's, I've seen people. Have you been duped by a promoter? Like not been paid?
Me personally, no, but my athletes and stuff, yeah.
It's happened to me. Like I go and I win and I don't collect my prize. They just, I'll pay you next week. Gone. Yeah. Never seen him.
Actually, it happened to my brother in the same event I was competing in. Well, what they did, they gypped him on a decision really bad. Like I remember we watched the video afterwards. It was in some small Texas promotion, and if you would have scored it by IBJJF standards, it would have been 20-2, my brother. And they gave the decision to the other guy, and they said because aggression.
I'm like, I don't know how that is even possible.
Right. So it was the one time that we can call that I grappled mad because it was just before me. And my brother did a little Hickson. He threw a water bottle on the table. He was pretty pissed. And it turns out what happened was the guy that he was competing against, I guess, was a friend of the promoter and wasn't getting paid if he won, whereas my brother was getting paid if he won.
Oh, that explains. So they were willing to...
And the event bombed, right? So I'm like, this is probably what happened. And so then I was go up, and it was against George Pereira. Right. I remember I was furious. I ran through George Pereira after that. But... yeah, so that was the one time I know that my brother got shafted.
That's crazy, man.
But yeah, I was
that's
like,
crazy. He's just trying to save money.
He's just trying to save money.
Well, the correct thing for a promoter to do is to have the money set aside even before he starts to promote the show, right?
Yeah, I mean, I understand that when you're promoting events, there's a big gamble. I've promoted a lot of events for grappling and whatnot, but you can't stiff competitors.
Yeah.
To me, that's like as someone who's competed, I don't want that being done to me on the other side, so I'm not going to do it to other people. Golden rule right there, right? It's really scummy behavior, though. I remember guys who were writing, not to speak ill of the dead, but back in the day, the guy who ran World Extreme Fighting, Jamie Levine, he would be writing busted checks all the time,
Yeah.
And I remember people would keep fighting for him. I'm like, what are you doing?
Oh, no, dude.
But it's like, it's not going to happen to me until it does.
I don't know did I tell you this? Like a while ago, there was the last Metamoris, who actually took place inside the Gracie Academy. Did I tell you that story?
No. But I know.
So the last Metamoris took place inside the original Gracie Academy with the green mats, right? And I think it was Rallick versus Gordon. if I recall.
Might have been, yeah.
And they had offered me that match. Not Raleigh, they offered me and Gordon. I'm like, well, I'm retired.
Yeah.
Not interested. But, if you guys pay me really well, I'll take 2-3 months out of my life. Yeah. I'll put everything else on hold, and then I'll go out there and I'll give him a war. I'll give him my very best. He's sharp. He's really, he's a very dominant competitor. I've been retired for over 10 years. So it's a huge investment on my part to go back into training mode and just doing that, putting all my seminars, my classes, my businesses aside and just focus on that, right? So I go, okay, this is how much I want. I ask for $50,000, right? Oh, we can't pay you that much. We can't pay you that much. They brought it down to 30, right? And I'm like, okay, I'll do it, $30,000. And then they go, okay, we'll pay you after the show. And then I'm like, no, that money's got to go in an escrow account, right? And they're like, no, we're good. We're going, no, I know of your guys' reputation. You guys put that money in an escrow account, we can make this happen, right? And so that was it. And then they couldn't find anyone because no one would do it, right? That's why Raleigh himself ended up grappling. The whole thing was a flop. Obviously, they had the event inside the gym. So what does that tell you? Yeah. The glory days of Metamoris are well behind us. They were the first actually. Now that I think about it, they're like that they started the trend of professional events, because before that there was not a lot going on. Like there were some sporadic ones before that, but like
they were the first one that were consistent putting stuff out. But unfortunately, sometimes being first is not the way to go. Right? Oh, yeah. Because what you've done is you blazed the trail, but you've taken all the expense. Yeah. Right, and now everybody else, as you fall off, is just going to take off right where you left.
They build the momentum for everyone else.
Yeah.
I still don't know what Metamoris means. Do you?
No.
I actually Googled it once and nothing came up. Just a tournament. I'm like, it's got to mean something, right?
It's a weird.
I'm assuming, like, when I hear Kasai, I don't know, I never researched it, but I'm assuming it means something. It's like, it's probably something in Japanese, right? It's got to be.
Right? You would think so, but there's brands that are, Haagen-Dazs, right?
Yeah.
It means absolutely nothing.
Really?
It's a fake word.
It's not a German brand.
No, not German, Dutch, or anything.
Because I thought it would be German or Dutch. That was the first thing that's going through my head. Oh, for sure, this is Dutch ice cream or German ice cream.
It's an American brand.
Haagen-Dazs.
They just named it Haagen-Dazs because they know, it sounds like...
Oh, my God. So now it makes me not want to ever have Haagen-Dazs again.
Yeah, so now, instead of paying $4 for the same ice cream, you're going to pay
Unbelievable. I actually thought it was like some... it's the first thing you think when... It's just like the problem with all the assumptions we make about shit, right? I thought it was like, there must be a family somewhere in Holland that's been making ice cream for 600 years, and this is like some family recipe, because that's what it sounds like. It's super expensive.
Yeah.
It's very boutique, right?
Yeah.
It's a very European name. I want to say like Dutch or German.
European.
It sounds that way. Maybe Scandinavian, right? And so like it's got to be good because it's that expensive. It is delicious, but yeah, that just ruined. You just ruined it for me, Dave.
It is just all marketing. It's made by Dryers. Who make ice cream for Breyers and all.
Really?
Yep. Same company. It's just kind of like Toyota and Lexus, right?
So let's come up with a new brand of jiu-jitsu. Let's name it something else. Like, let's make up some crazy name and charge people more for it.
Yeah, exactly. You just say Kosotogare, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Come up with something. But it's interesting because, it does, look at how many people they tricked with that. Like, they just came up with it. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. And they so many people fell for it. I wonder if there's... Now I'm trying to think, how can I trick people into giving me their money? Right? Come up with some, but it's it's brilliant marketing. That's what it comes down to.
Yep.
I had no idea it was a made up name.
It is. Even a lot of stuff, good branding goes a long way. Coca-Cola, Santa Claus, red and white.
Coca. You know where that comes from, right?
Yeah. But the image of Santa Claus being red and white was developed by Coca-Cola.
The original Santa Claus was green, right?
I believe it wasn't a festive outfit.
Yeah.
Because it was supposed to be a different origin story, but Coca-Cola branded him in their branding, and then they put him in red and white.
Yeah.
And now that's the symbolic image of Santa.
Brilliant.
And that was made by Coca-Cola, which is, again, pretty wild. That
a
beverage company has created what is probably the most important holiday in North America.
Yeah. Probably take out China and India. I'm not sure what their holidays would be, but in the Western world for sure.
Yeah.
That's wild, man. But Coca-Cola at that point, they would have had such a huge budget for marketing, and Santa Claus was not that big of a thing probably. So it would have been easier to make the image of Santa Claus a red and white Santa Claus, right, away from green. Interesting. Like you go to Turkey and they swear Santa Claus is from Turkey. It's a saint. I don't know if it's from the Orthodox religion or the Catholic religion, but and then in Finland they swear it's from Finland. Now I would think it's from Finland, but apparently there's no saint from Finland. So maybe I don't know where the origin of Santa Claus, but it's not green or white. It's just like a normal saint. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, man. Like the marketing thing is wild, man. Like it's such it's today too, man. It's just one of those things where so many people are doing the same things. Like the internet's been flooded with like attempts at selling you shit. Like I just scroll past everything. I don't listen to anything anymore. Like how do you even capture? I was thinking about this. How do you capture people's attention? Like just any kind of sale. You're trying to sell them like a book, trying to sell a DVD, a membership. It's so hard to catch people's attention because people are just scrolling through. It's like pitch after pitch after pitch. We are overwhelmed with sales pitches.
It's like you're going down a subway tunnel and there's ads all across the walls.
You don't look forward. You're like, no, leave me alone. Like that's the best pitch right now. Just like leave the customer alone. Like whatever company leaves me alone is the one I want to give my money to. You know,
it's pretty wild. You know who was it? Kent Peters, I think.
Who?
Kent Peters. You heard of him? He has an Instagram, good followings, like Supernatural here. He has a school in Canada, I think. He has a farm. And he's been doing jiu-jitsu videos forever and really good instruction. And I guess he started a TikTok account.
Yeah.
And just, for shits and giggles, he showed a video of him cutting open a bale of hay.
Yeah.
And he's like, whatever, it's just, I'm doing something, I'm going to film it.
Yeah.
That became like his most popular video. And he got like millions of views. And now his TikTok went from like whatever to like tens of thousands of people.
Why?
I don't know. People liked the way it looked because when you cut the bale of hay, it opened up a certain way. Yeah. I don't know. I saw him like, I don't get it, but like apparently it just went viral.
See, so you have to surprise the public. That's what it comes down to. You can't give them the average. We can't give them what they have seen. Like you probably did something no one's expecting, and that's why it blew up. I don't know.
No, because you got people now, I guess, from outside of jiu-jitsu circles that just, whatever reason, like someone cutting open a bale of hay. So to me, it's stuff like that. Like he's jokes about himself. I'm like, I guess I gotta cut open more hay, right?
That's the thing though. Like people tell me, like, Rob, you should post more. Rob, you gotta do this. You gotta do that. I'm like, who the fuck's got time for this shit? I got a job, man. Like I got work to do. I don't have time to like my daughter's like on TikTok now. Like I let them start like a TikTok account. Yeah. And they're like, Daddy, I got 6 followers. I'm like, oh fuck, here we go. And they're like doing videos and stuff, and I let them because it's pretty innocent. I just monitor like who there's anyone talking to them. But if they want to post videos, it doesn't bother me. But it's crazy, man. Like it's a lot of work. Like they'll spend they're little, but so they spend a lot of time, editing the videos and putting it together. I'm like, I don't have time for this. Like if it were like a 5-second thing, I can see myself doing it. But sometimes a post, like you spend every now and then I want to type something, my fingers hurt, so I use like my laptop to type something because it's a little bit more dense. And it takes a good 20 minutes of your day, depending on like how much time you want to put into the post. If you're gonna do it right, and it takes a lot of your time. And I'm just not willing to give that much of my time. I really want to hire someone to do it, So if you're listening and you want to do all my social media, you might have a job for you.
Yeah, I agree with you. I forgot who was it that said it, but I think actually it was Joe Rogan. And he was talking about in the past, people would play computer games and go on the computer, on the internet, to get an escape from the real world. And now, like, people go into the real world to get an escape from the internet because people are on it all the time. When people go on vacation and camping, it's like, oh, now I'm detoxing from the outside.
A tech diet. Yeah. That's what I call it, a tech diet. And you got to go through that. It's actually very peaceful. Sometimes when I travel, I have my phone on airplane mode. I could turn it on. Like I'm on Verizon, it's like $10 a day. Yeah. And I have like my normal data, right? But I'm a cheap bastard. Plus, I kind of enjoy not having my phone on all the time, so I only get the Wi-Fi when I'm at the hotel, whatever. Yeah. And then I'm like flooded with like 50 messages. I'm like, fuck. So for the next hour at least, I'm like replying. But then I am free from my phone for the next 12 hours. And then I have it for an hour. I have to reply to everyone. And it's actually crazy, but it's so peaceful. I almost want to have my plane on airplane mode all day. Like even here, and I just reply to people when I get home and I have Wi-Fi. So
Yeah.
it gives me a break from having to reply to people immediately. I might start doing that, man, because it's so I'm averaging like 6 hours a day on my phone screen time.
No,
And it's all
yeah.
it's all work. I don't bullshit. I play
Yeah.
Clash of Clans. That's like 3 minutes, and then that's it. And everything else is work, like replying to people, doing stuff. And it's consuming so much of my day. It's actually stopping me from being productive in a way that I know I can be productive, and I want to be productive in that way, right?
I would tell you when I told my brother years ago. I remember Lloyd Irvin introduced me to his marketing guru, Dan Kennedy. And Dan Kennedy has a book called No BS Time Management, right? And very fun book. Dan's an excellent writer, makes it easy to read. But one of the premises is that having a phone on you, a mobile phone, is essentially inviting people to interrupt you whenever they want, right?
Bingo. That's it.
So his thing was don't have a mobile phone. That was the extreme option was don't have a mobile phone. You have a landline or that's all you need. And you got to train people not to think that they can access you whenever they want, that there's specific times of day that you're accessible, just like a business would be, right? 9 to 5 or whatever.
Yeah.
And for him, if you're an executive that's very busy, you can't even have that. You need someone to screen your calls because the last thing you want is a telemarketer wasting your time. And especially if you're in a creative field, like where we are, you get into a flow state at a certain point. Usually, when you're gonna start a creative project, if you're writing or you're doing video editing or whatnot, you have to think for a moment, and then things start to come together, and then you get a flow, right? Just like grapplers, you start grappling and you get into a flow state. But if someone pulls you away from that flow state just for like a minute or two, now it's like starting all over again. It's like, okay, wait, where was I? Shit. All right,
You
start over.
just described my day, man.
Right.
That's
So,
exactly what happens.
So those interruptions that can come in all the time will ruin you. You're going to be very unproductive as a result. So that's why secretaries were and are important because they're a layer of protection. Like you imagine you have a shield around you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they filter. So only the urgent information that needs to be dealt with right now gets conveyed to you. Otherwise, if it's bullshit, take it out. Or if it's something that could be delayed to later, delay it to later. Like maybe you have a designated time where you answer calls, 5 to 6. This is when I go through all my emails or go through all my calls. So he has this particular strategy that he incorporates.
What's it called?
No BS Time Management by Dan Kennedy.
I should.
Right? I remember I had told, because I had read the book. And
I actually really want to read that. Yeah.
I told my brother, check it out. My brother read it, and what he did, he got rid of his cell phone.
Completely.
And then he would essentially take calls at the gym, and that was it. And, if anything was urgent, they emailed him, and then my brother...
How did he talk to his wife if he has to?
He didn't. Yeah, he would just
have to wait till I get home.
Or he would go from the office, he would call her and whatnot.
Because the excuse is always, what if it's an emergency? Everyone's like, emergency. That's why I got to buy my 7-year-old a cell phone because it's an emergency, right? So everyone's worried about that one moment where you absolutely need to find someone, but that never happens. It's always the bullshit you got to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, when you were a kid and when I were a kid, we didn't have cell phones, and we managed to survive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's an emergency, you go to a phone.
911, yeah.
Or you flag the 100 million other people with a cell phone and you tell them, hey. So I think it's very rare. But he actually, recently, he got a cell phone, broke down. I think partly because he needs to film and he liked having the phone to be able to film and access the internet. But you can still practice the same thing, which is that every time the phone rings, people are conditioned to be like, my phone.
That's me. Yeah.
It's like, what are you, a rat chasing cheese? You're like, the phone ring. Like for me, when the phone rings, I don't run at it. I just, okay, it's ringing. And I try to make my ring as subtle as possible. So I just know it's a call. And I don't answer all my calls. Like I'll send that to voicemail and then I'll call that person back later, right? No offense, whoever.
Yeah.
Gets sent to voicemail.
No, but you're right. You're right.
Or like if it's a text message or something, like okay, I'll shelf that.
I need to learn how to do that because I become so impulsive on my phone. I can't stop myself from replying. Like I have to reply right away. And I'm pretty good about it. Like I'm normally, if I don't reply within like 3-4 hours, it's because I'm really busy. in very unusual situation, I forgot, right? Very unusual. Normally, I reply right away. I'm really quick about it because I got so many things going on that I know that if I don't reply right away, I'm probably gonna forget. So I got to do it now.
For sure.
But at the same time, I've become a slave to my phone because everyone knows they can reach out to me anytime, and then it just takes all my day away from me. I would love if I didn't have a phone. I would 100% get rid of it. I think I'd be more efficient if I didn't have a phone. But at the same time, like a big part of my job is communicating with people, so I don't know how that would work.
You see, so the way you gotta see it, that you want your phone, like, and again, I think paraphrasing from him, having a cell phone on you is not necessarily a bad thing. Because when you want to reach out to people, you want that ability. But having an unfiltered incoming call going into you is not desirable for productivity purposes, right? So the whole thing is, you can have a cell phone, and if I need to email people or text or call people, I do that. But I want to limit the amount of time that people are able to contact me and interrupt a flow state. You know what I mean? Wow. So like, you just have to be able to block your schedule accordingly. Like, okay, if I'm going to be doing this marketing project from 10 to 1, I'm not taking any calls or anything like that. Like, sometimes I just put my phone on silent at that point. Like, I don't even hear anything. And then when that time is done, okay, 1 o'clock, I got these calls.
See, I've done that. I have my phone on silent. I have all my notifications off. I don't have a single notification. The only notification I have on my daughters. When my daughters call me, that notification comes up. Other than them, no one else, right? But I become so impulsive about checking my phone that while we're talking here, I've had like 2 or 3 instances where I wanted to reach for my phone and check it. It's an instinct. You just get used to that. It's a habit of checking your phone all the time that I want to break, because you're right. What I might do, man, I'm honestly thinking about only having my phone on for maybe like I said, 2-3 hours a day, and I'll reply to everyone I got to reply to, and I'll put it back on airplane mode. And if I need to reach out to someone, I can switch it back on. Because it does interrupt me a lot, especially like when I'm reading or working, doing something. Like my thought process gets thrown, and I got ADD, man. For me to when I get in my rabbit holes, I'm very focused, laser focused. But for you, if you push me off that track, sometimes it's like I can't even get back on it. No, especially when I'm writing. I know I'm good, but when I write, I lock myself in my room, don't knock on it, because it takes me an hour or 2 to warm up, and after that, I'm very productive. I feel like, but if my phone rings or someone texts me and I have to reply, it just it prevents my creative side to manifest itself. I get stuck in this production, go. You become like a slave to your watch, to the time. Like everything's and I truly believe that in order for you to be creative, you have to be idle. There's no creativity that's gonna come from being busy. When you're busy, you're getting shit done. Creativity, as in like I'm talking about art, I'm talking about writing, right? These things require inspiration. I feel like you have to be sort of quiet. I have my best moments, my inspirational moments, right before I go to bed. You know why? It's the one time of the day where everything is quiet. I don't want to check my phone. There's no music. There's no sound. There's no one. It's just me. And I go quiet and I go inside my head. And then that's when I have my best ideas, because it's idle, right? When I'm on vacation, which is not very often, but like if I have like quiet by myself, I'm just walking around chilling by the beach, that's when I feel like my best ideas comes, because I'm like, my brain is actually able to think. Right? Because if I'm busy teaching class, answering phone calls, replying to texts, like giving out orders, I don't feel I'm very productive. And productive in a different way. I'm productive and I'm getting shit done way, but not in a creative way.
Right. Yeah. Being in a creative field is a different challenge, right? Like I've done other things where there's no creativity required. You just have to be able to do hard work and whatnot. And that is not mentally stressful as it is physically, right? It's just if you're doing manual labor or something like that, and you already know the process to build something, then you're just doing the computation, right? Whereas when you have to think about how to solve a problem, or you have to create something to solve a problem, it requires a different state of mind. And what you said, it's different for everybody, but yeah, sleeping is usually around a good time, because like you said, you're relaxed, you're kind of in a meditative state, and things are able to come out. When you're really busy, you don't have the mental space to do so. You're already trying to handle all the other crap that's going on in your day. You don't have time to be creative, right? So I think that's why, like, setting those block schedule is important, where like you block out a certain amount of time. Okay, this time.
That's what I got to do.
Like like 10 to 1 marketing time. That's it. There's nothing else going on.
Yeah.
Phones off or phones on silent. And I'm just doing that. And that's going to give you the best odds, especially if you have a regular schedule where every time you're doing that, it kind of helps set you. Okay, this is my time to work. When you're a lot more sporadic and random, then it's trickier, because like you could be doing anything at any time.
That's me. Like my day, I don't have a set. People ask my schedule, and I don't have one. It's just like I start my day at around 8 a.m. and I don't stop till 10 p.m.
Yeah,
that's my I'm not even exaggerating, bro. Like those are my days, right?
Yeah.
And I'm busy all day, but I'm not always productive. It's hard, or creative for that. It's just like, and I'm like, what did I do today? And I'm like, I can't name a single productive thing I've done today, but I haven't stopped.
Right. It's like reactive, right? Where like there's situations arising and you have to react to them, and
yes.
But you're not able to do anything. In that same book, it talks about that, how they say executives only actually have 18 minutes or some ridiculously small number of actually productive time a day, because the rest of it is, if they're not organized, is reactive. They're just dealing with the small crises that are going on, and they get pulled from one side to the other before they're, okay, what am I actually going to do to help move my agenda forward? They just don't get the time. So like that, again, it's like a pitch for this book. And I get commission.
He's getting royalties, if you're wondering. But Dave is owner of the printing company.
But like, it goes over the strategies of how to layer yourself and protect yourself. It even has a concept which it calls, it's funny, it's called time vampires.
Yeah.
Right? And these are people that just sink their fangs in you and just drain all your time. It's like the person that just wants to talk BS with you all day.
Yeah.
And you're trying to get away from it, but you can't. But now, like, it's rude.
You want to be polite. Yeah.
To be polite, but now, like, an hour of time just got drained away.
You know what my biggest peeve is? This drives me crazy. I'm a very objective person, and I feel like I can be very productive. I'm a very go kind of guy. I hate when people repeat themselves. It's like people like the sound of their own voice. And like, tell me what you need to tell me. Say it in 15 seconds. And normally people can say it in 15 seconds, but they'll take 3 minutes to say it. It's like they enjoy repeating themselves over and over and over for some reason. Like, I got it the first time, man. And I'm actually becoming a dick about it. I interrupt them.
Yeah.
And I move on to the next one. And then they try to go back to repeating what they're saying. Oh, I understood that. I already got that. And it's impossible, because the second you start doing that, now you're rude. And I'm like, but at the same time, I don't want to hear it again. I got shit to do, man. I got to go. I can't be like listening to your story over and over and over. Just tell me what I need to know and let me go get it done.
This reminds me, I was just watching Curb Your Enthusiasm. I don't know if you watched it.
What is that?
Oh, Rob, you got to watch it. It's great.
Is it comedy?
Comedy. So it's Larry David. He's the guy who produced Seinfeld.
Okay.
So what people don't know, that Larry David essentially modeled George Costanza after like an exaggerated version of himself.
Who's Costanza? I had never watched Seinfeld.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Robert.
I know, man. I know. I missed it. I was in Brazil during those years. I missed all of that.
Yeah.
I've heard of it, but I've never watched it.
This is really eccentric character that's socially awkward.
Is he one with the funny hair?
Oh, he's the one that's bald. That's Kramer.
Okay.
He's another, he's a really eccentric character. But George Costanza is just like this is a really a head case kind of, and puts himself in always awkward positions by lying and trying to get out of it. So Larry David in Curb Your Enthusiasm, he plays himself, again, like an exaggerated version of himself. But
awesome.
He's just a very blunt guy, and he has no BS.
Yeah.
No fucks to give, to put it bluntly. So he had a similar situation on the show where like this guy was trying to explain something that was very obvious, and like he just kept cutting off, like, no, I get it, just stop. Like, okay, you have my phone number? You're calling me on the phone. Of course I have your number. Just stop, that type of thing. It's funny. I think it's a great show because it highlights what everybody's maybe I identify too much with the character, but everybody has those thoughts, but they're usually they don't say them because they don't want to be socially awkward.
What's it called again?
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Is it on Netflix? Where is it?
It's on HBO.
Okay.
So it's like 10 seasons or whatnot. It's a pretty fresh show. It's always pretty funny, very politically incorrect and all that. So it's refreshing. It's really funny, but it kind of goes to what you're saying, where like we're in polite society, we have all these filters, right? Like because we don't want to offend people, or you don't want to cut someone off and hurt their feelings. But if we were mature enough and we could just remove all the filters and just say what's actually going on without people being offended, then you have a much more clear-cut communication, right? Like,
Yeah.
but if we have to play with all these rules, then it's like a calculation. Like, okay, like everybody gets into a situation like you get invited to some type of party that you don't want to go to, right?
Yeah.
But how do you refuse it? Right? Like, oh,
You lie.
well, a lot of people lie, right? Like they make a story up or what?
Because you don't hurt the person's feelings.
Yeah. So your idea is, well, if I lie to this person, they're like, oh, it's a good lie. You know, they believe the story, their feelings are not hurt, and then I'm able to do whatever I really want to do.
Yeah.
Versus if I just say, hey, look, I just don't want to go. You know, like just.
Now you're a dick.
But yeah, that's like, oh, what an ass. You know, like I took the time to invite him to the special event that I'm planning, and he's not
Who
going
does
to
he
show
think
up.
he is? It's
Exactly.
too good for my party. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember there was a point like there was like some dispute, and I was uninvited to a wedding. I'm like, oh, okay, let's say me.
I know, like, if someone told me, like, if I went to a party, like, I rather just don't want to go, I don't think I'd be offended. Like, maybe a little bit. Like, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't see myself caring that much.
No, I'm not a party person. Yeah,
and I almost appreciate the honesty, like, because people don't talk that way. You know, people like you know, you never know when they're bullshit. I like genuine people, right? So I always say this. I want to vote for the politician that walks up there and goes, yeah, I cheated on my wife once. I smoke weed almost every day. I've done cocaine about 5 times in my life. If any politician went up there and actually told me the truth, I'd be like, I like that guy. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
because
you know where they stand.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, hey, man. But you know what? And then he's going to say, you know what? I really want to do this, and that. I'm like, okay, there's a genuine guy out there. Because this whole like perfect persona, the whole PR industry is an industry designed to exploit like the glitches in human psychology. How do you present yourself? You always smile. You look them in the eyes. It's all that whole Dale Carnegie. What's that book? How to influence people. Yeah, exactly. It's trying to trick people to like you. Like if you're a piece of shit, that works too, man. That's not genuine, right? But it does work because the second you look when someone in the eye and you speak with confidence, people believe whatever you say. That's how con artists get away with it, right? So I like the people that will give me the truth, the naked truth. And if it hurts my feelings, I might be upset for a day or two. But I know myself, day 3, I'm always going to go, that's a good friend. You know, I prefer those people. I think you do too. Like I think the real people, because I can't stand the BS, man. People are smiling in your face. Oh, I like you. You're my best friend. Trying to stab you behind your back. There's so much of that, man. You know, and I mean, when I hear people, when they try to present themselves too perfectly, I'm always like, there's something fishy about this. Yeah. You know, I'd rather hear the rotten side of, I know the rotten side of a person. That's not going to make me like them less because of it. It just shows their humanity.
Exactly. You know, I think that's one of the things that everybody is so worried about hiding their flaws because they don't want to see people like, oh, like I've erred or I've made mistakes.
Because everyone's got to be Jesus, stupid. Yeah.
But it's like, you know, you understand those same thoughts are exactly held by everybody else, right? So why are you hiding it? Why are we playing this game? But
but you have to play the game.
Yeah, but we've all embarrassed ourselves at some point, right? Like for me, when I was in school, I was terribly shy and just had a fear of failure and rejection. And why though? Because when I grow up and I look at my younger self, I'm like, dude, what are you worried about?
Yeah.
Like any dude who's, you know, it doesn't matter, has been rejected by, you know, tons of girls.
Yeah.
You know?
And there's something wrong if you've never been rejected.
Exactly. Like, it's no big deal, right? Yeah. But like when you're younger, you think it's a huge deal. It's just like anybody who their first love and they get brokenhearted and they fall apart. It's like, man, dude, that's
happens to everyone.
You move on, dude. It's not a big deal.
You want to go through that because it's one of those experiences that once you go through it, you're like, I'm really happy that happened.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a vaccine, man. Like you need it, you know?
So it's just a matter of like, looking at my younger self, I could see all these mistakes that I had or these wrong ideas that I had, you know? But now that we're older, it still seems that people still have the same ideas, like, and they're still trapped in not being real.
Yeah.
You know, like I can tell the truth. Like I try to be as honest as possible because I know whatever I've gone through, somebody else has gone through. You know, like, and it's not like, oh, you've done this horrible thing. I mean, I haven't murdered anybody like that. So I haven't done any egregious crimes, so I have nothing to hide, you know? And I think when you're able to open up that way, it makes you a lot more interesting because you can reveal, like, nobody wants to hear about somebody's all perfect stories,
Oh.
whether they're true or not. It gets boring, right? What do people like to hear? They like to hear the rags to riches story, right?
Yeah.
It's as old as time because we could see ourselves in some part of that continuum. You know what I mean? Whether we were at the bottom or at the top, and we can visualize, oh, that might be me someday, and I might make that rise. You know, but if you just put the story of a billionaire son becomes a billionaire, it's like, well, nothing really changed, right? Like he started here, he ended here. It's a very boring story.
There's not even merit to it,
right?
Yeah.
But if you have someone who's a billionaire, then becomes broke, and then he comes up, you know, and then it's like there's stuff going on that's
every
happening.
good biography, whether it's in a form of a book or any story, it has those ups and downs, right? Like, you know, you're bottom of, you know, the bottom of everything, you pick yourself back up, and, you know, and even if at the end you don't win, I'm still interested.
Yeah.
Because it's a reminder of our humanity and how flawed we are, and you're gonna take some falls, and I always hate those falls while I'm going through them. It's like, why is this happening? This is bullshit.
Oh yeah.
I'm dramatic, like histrionic. Like I get pissed off, man. And then when it's all over, it's always like, oh, I'm so happy that happened, because you do come out a little bit stronger, like a little bit more mature and a little bit better. And those are the ultimate lessons, man. I value those things more than anything. It's like getting caught in a triangle. You get caught in a triangle so many times. After a while, you stop getting caught in the triangle, and you realize your defense is amazing because you got caught so many times.
Yeah, you know all the different ways to get caught.
There's no. I mean, look at. I was just thinking about this. There's this period in Brazilian music that was very productive. So you have to understand Brazilian music to understand what I'm talking about. But it was like, you know, like it was like the 60s to like the mid 80s. It was the best music Brazil has ever produced, hands down. Beautiful music, well written. Like it's, you have to listen and appreciate it, right? Brazil was a dictatorship during those years. You were not allowed to think. You were not allowed to read certain books. You were not allowed to, like, there was no free press. There was one political party, and it was a very brutal dictatorship. But it was very, very productive in terms of music and literature, right? And then I go today. Brazil's a democratic country. It's opened up. You have like 100 political parties, and there's no repression anymore. And the music has gotten to shit. You know, and sometimes I think if like the hardship of the times is what allowed that creativity to manifest itself. Whereas, you know, now it's like you have all the freedom to write and produce, and we end up with the equivalent of, you know, like, I don't know, what's crappy music that everyone agrees is crappy, but everyone listens to? Trap rap? Like, that to me sounds horrible, you know, but some people, maybe they like it. I don't know. I don't judge. But it's not as, you can't compare it to, you know, maybe in the U.S. it's similar. Maybe music's gotten increasingly worse. But I always think that it's hardship that really brings the best out of us. That was my point. You know, like,
no, I agree with you.
It's during those moments of pain and suffering and struggle and, you know, in this case, political repression, that the very best of people come out. You know, the best, my favorite part of human nature. And then when everything is really easy and really soft and really, you know, almost too comfortable, like what good comes out of comfort in terms of creation?
Yeah, not much.
You see what I'm saying?
They say good times make soft men. You know?
Really soft. And like, not only that, like when I'm watching people, I'm going like, all right, man, you have all these tools on the internet, and what do people do with it? Right? Like, think about it. Like, the internet has, like, my phone has more information on it than all the libraries in the world. You know, and it's still, like, look, it's used for gossiping and trolling and just stupid shit.
Yeah, and that's just the sad part of human nature, right? Because you are correct. Like, we could literally learn about anything in the world and become experts in probably multiple fields if we really endeavor to do so. Yeah. But most people are spending their time looking through Facebook feeds and Instagram pictures.
And I do too. I'm guilty too, man. Like, I'm not pointing fingers. I'm part of the problem. It's just like, I'm just pointing out like the shitty aspect of human nature. Yeah. Right. Where we could be doing amazing things with our minds, and instead we get sucked into like stupid trolling and arguments and what else?
I think that in itself is kind of showing how good life is, where you don't really need to prioritize on building new skills or whatnot because things are going well already,
Yeah.
right? Like if I could guarantee, well, I would guarantee for myself at least that if I was destitute and broke and fighting for survival, I wouldn't be looking at my Instagram feed and like, oh, what's this new jiu-jitsu move?
100%. Yeah.
Right? I'm like, I gotta bust my ass and try to
Yeah.
make something happen,
Yeah.
So, I mean, in one side that is good, but we have like these first world problems, right?
They're first world problems, and they're breeding like idiocy. Like
Yeah.
it's just making us worse. I feel because it's made us soft.
And unfortunately, it's very hard for people to challenge themselves when they're already doing well,
Yeah.
right? It's one of the trickiest things to do is to be able to push the envelope on your own. I mean, that's why we have coaches, right?
Yeah.
An athlete by himself, just training on his own, can only get so far. And however far he can get on his own, even if he's super determined and disciplined, a coach is going to get him further.
Yeah.
Just because the coach can push where he cannot see, he can be pushed. But we have to be able to. I think that's why it's important to have mentors and to have coaches in everything that you do, because
I agree.
whatever you're doing, okay, I think I'm doing good, but I can push you a little bit more, and you can get a lot more performance out of it. And there's also accountability, right? Whereas, like, if I'm working on my own, nobody's looking over my shoulder. I'm like,
You
okay,
can stop anytime you
I
want.
can relax a little bit. You know what I mean? Let me pull up my Facebook feed and see what's going on.
Extra minute break.
But like, if you had someone over your shoulder the whole time, you're like, well, I can't goof around now.
Someone you respect and you want to impress too.
Yeah.
Someone who you're trying to like make proud.
Exactly. So it's just like if you were going to be grappling, and you imagine you have like Hicks and Gracie watching you. You're not gonna be goofing around at that point. You're like, okay, let me show the master like I deserve his respect or whatnot. Or I want to impress him or whatever the case is. Yeah, that type of pressure is what I would consider a positive pressure. And whenever you can have that, it's going to force you to be better. Is it stressful? Yeah, it can be stress, but stress doesn't necessarily mean bad, right? Stress is just, it's pressure. You can use that to create good, or it could be used to break yourself down, just depending on how you're able to route it. So that's why I think doing sports, in particular for martial arts, is such a good tool for anybody, because it's very easy stress management skills. There's nothing more stressful than someone trying to kill you, right? Simulated murder, as people call it, right? But and if you can handle that type of stressful situation and come out smiling, everything else is a joke. I remember that's why I always felt like once I started doing high school wrestling, and to me that was brutal,
hardest thing
ever. I'm like, dude, what homework is what? I'm just looking at a book and
it does make everything else seem easier.
It's like, whatever. I'm like, dude, I was deprived of food and eating malnourished and being forced to cut weight, and coach yelling at me and someone trying to throw me. Like, what? I am struggling with a book? Get the hell out of me. The book can't do shit. I could beat this thing. So like, it put everything in perspective. Like, that's why I went from like in high school, I was just like an okay student. Yeah. And then when I went to college, I just used the same mindset that I had for competition. And I was magna cum laude at the top of my class.
Wrestling is a really good school for life. I agree.
Yeah, and I mean, but that applies to any hard sport. Like I think training jiu-jitsu, martial arts, isn't it get you?
Jiu-jitsu is commercialized, so if you ran it like that for my kids' program, you lose all your students. You got to water it down a little bit, because the truth is most children can't handle that. Even wrestling, that they're selected. Like there's a process. You're gonna get the really tough ones, and then you push that threshold, and then some of them probably fall through. Eventually, they can't keep up, but I think it really does prepare you for that sort of hard training. I believe children should go through that every now and then, just to really toughen them up and give them a reality check. It's like, hey man, and it's okay if you break.
Yeah,
as long as you pick yourself back up.
You are going to be broken.
We are way too soft on children, if you ask me. Like my daughters, I try to I push them not as much as my grandpa would have liked, but kids got to be pushed. But going back to your point, Dave, like everyone says it's cliche to say, but pressure creates diamonds. The lotus flower is born in the mud. And then I think these are all symbolic of of ourselves and how we grow and how we develop.
Absolutely. So I always say, like, if you feel like you're overstressed, you should just take pause, and pull out a piece of paper, write down everything that's bothering you. Right? What's going on with you? Yeah.
Are you suggesting I write a novel, Dave? Are you suggesting I spend the next 15 weeks of my life writing shit down?
Let's do the top 10, right?
Okay, top 10 I can do.
What are the top 10 things that are stressing you out? And a lot of times, like, people float these in their head, right? Like, you have things that are stressing you, and people are like, oh, what's going on? Well, like, I got this and that, but you're never able to quantify it, right? You're not making it real. It's kind of in the ether.
Yeah.
And as long as it sits in this little brain cloud of yours, like, you can't really get a hold of it.
Yeah.
And so it could appear larger than it is.
Yeah.
Right? Or just overwhelming. It's like, okay, you know what? Let's just put it down, make it real. Okay, what? I have this car payment that I'm late on, or I'm having this problem here. Whatever your problems are. Right?
You got to stop, take a deep breath, and I agree with you because like some of the chaos like just builds on itself and it doesn't help. You got to like take a step back. Let's reset and let's see what exactly I have to do that's urgent and what's not. Because a lot of times what's urgent gets all mixed up with what's not. Yes. And that's a lot what happens to me. Like I end up like spending a lot of time on shit that's meaningless and or giving the same amount of time to the stuff that's really important. So creating a hierarchy of relevance is very helpful.
Exactly. And I feel like once you're able to put all that down, then you know, okay, you know what? Maybe this isn't as bad as I thought it was. And you say, what's the high priority item here? Actually, it's this guy. You know, this is the one that I need to stop. It's kind of like if you're thinking of the human body and you have a broken finger, but you're bleeding out here and you're trying to fix the finger, like this can wait.
Yes,
you know what I mean? I need to take care of this guy right now.
Yes,
you know?
that's... And
but sometimes this could be a lot more distracting to you, right?
Yeah.
Because maybe I'm internally bleeding, but I can see this. I'm like, this is really bothering.
If I could follow half of Dave's advice, I'd be fine. But like, I'd probably go back to my like default setting, which is like try to do everything at a time. Anyway, Dave, I gotta get going. Man, what a pleasure. I had a lot of fun. All right, team. Train jiu-jitsu, stay healthy, eat healthy, sleep well, stay away with people with a cold. I'm fucking freaking out about that virus. Stay safe. I'm gonna start wearing those masks pretty soon.
I think it's overblown.
I hope it is, but I do freak out about that stuff for some reason.
Correction. If I was in China, I'd be really scared. But other than that, I don't think it's as big as a deal as people make it. I think in the U.S. you have 35 cases out of...
Shit's a lot of people, man.
Well, out of what, like 300 million people? It's
I know.
Very small amount.
Yeah.
And I know because I have a camp going on in Thailand, and some people are concerned, like, because, but Thailand also has 35 cases. And the 35 cases that came in were from a bus that came from China with Chinese tourists. They stopped the bus, quarantined them, and there hasn't been a new case since.
Okay.
So, again, there's a lot of alarm, and I understand the scare, but when you look at the numbers, like I went to the CDC website, and I went to I forgot the other one.
Media that's how they live. The media, they live through headlines. Without headlines, they don't have a business.
Yeah.
Long story short, right? So it gets blown out of proportion.
Yeah,
but virus, I can't fight a virus, man. I can fight just about almost any other. I can fight animals, man. I can fight bills. I can fight, like a recession, a depression. I can fight these things. A virus, I can't. Anyway, guys, we're out of here, and we'll see you again next week. I hope you guys enjoyed, and